morning and welcome to another Fast Tracks webinar. I'm Colin Jorgensen, your host for today. I'm the new media designer here at Fast Track Solutions, and since this webinar is going to be specifically about AdPro, which is our design studio for the FTx Control Center, they asked someone from the art and marketing department to step in and host, so that's me. And if we do more AdPro videos, which I'm sure we will, they're probably going to ask me again, so get used to me. Now, this is a weekly event, not the AdPro ones, but the webinars are a weekly event that happen every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we, and I say we, but it's usually Derek, will go over all the different aspects of the Fast Track software. You can view all upcoming webinars by navigating to our website, goftx.com, and choosing FTx Lifeline at the top of the page. Then scroll down about halfway down the page and choose the webinar button. This will load all of our previous webinars where you can watch the recordings as well as show all upcoming webinars with options to sign up for them. In this week's webinar, we'll be going over AdPro. So what is AdPro? AdPro is the integrated design studio for FTx Control Center. With AdPro, you can build or update custom graphic designs for your FTx digital marketing layer by layer. AdPro gives you total control of your customer's experience through your digital signs, menu boards, and promotions. And you can do it all without having to have your own art department. I handle motion graphics and audio around here, but Steve in our marketing department is a master of AdPro, and he's the one going to be creating this design, a template for a vape party. You might be hosting a vape party, and this template would come in handy for you. So let's see how Steve designed this, and we'll go over it step by step and teach you how to design a template from scratch yourself. So we're in the art department here at Fast Track Solutions, and Steve has come over to sit at my desk, and he's going to be designing from my desk. So you can hear ambient noise of other artists working right now in the background. Steve's going to log in under my name to the FTx Control Center, and we're going to start this demonstration. You put in your login credentials and your password, and then you log in. Steve's logging in as me. And now you come upon your dashboard, and we're going to go over to AdPro, which is the fifth button down. It has a little paintbrush, so you know it has to do with art. You click on My Designs. All right, so you get to see a bunch of templates that have been created already. And we're going to select a size that we're going to design in. So we're going to go 1920 by 1080. You can see that's the horizontal layout. I'm going to go to create a new design because these seem to not be exactly what we want. We're going to make a vertical instead of a horizontal. Full screen vertical, so if you have an uplift display or a digital signage that's a vertical, you click that, and now we're going to title it. Let's call it Vape Party. Okay. And then make sure you save in the upper right corner. All right, so you've got your account name selected, and you've put in your title, and you've saved it. And now we're going to start building it with AdPro. All right, so we have our blank template here that we're going to start building. So let's start with the background and build up. So you can click on any of these colors in this big palette of colors, and it fills the entire background, so that's pretty good way to get started. Look like we're going to start with something dark, and now we're going to add some text. See that there are some functions that work a lot like professional art program like Photoshop. Not that this isn't a professional art program, but if you don't know Photoshop, this is the next best thing. And you can even create files in Photoshop and upload straight to AdPro or straight to your digital signage. All right, so we're gonna go into layers and create a shape. There's a ton of different shape palettes already there. We've pulled this kind of a dot matrix looking shape, and we're gonna grab a corner and pull it in, and that squashes it. And these are all high res, so that you can scale them up and down. It won't be an issue. Now you go up there to layer options and see it has a fill, and you can change the color of the fill. And then we're going to go with pink. And opacity means how opaque something is. So if it's fully opaque, it's solid. And if you take a percentage away from that, then it becomes more and more see-through, less opaque. So Steve's lessening the opacity to 40%. So it's 40% see-through. So you can get a lot of that background color coming through. And it really kind of like ties the whole image together. All right, we're going to go with a light purple. No, we're going to stick with the pink. When the opacity is lessened like that, it really kind of blends into the purple well. All right, so now we're going to add some text. You can see all these special fonts over there on the left. It shows you an example of each of the fonts, how they're going to look on your screen. It shows them in white, but you can change the color to any color you want. So we're going to start with bold font here. The font is called Impact. So selecting the word currently says bold and scaling it up. Just grab the corner, and I think if you hold shift, you can scale it perfectly. I don't know if they squash or you just always goes perfectly. All right, so he's pulling it up to the top. It's going to look like a title the way like a poster should, and writing the word vape. Going to stretch it, grow it a little bit there. Just pull the corner and scale it up. Try to cover as much of the space as possible, because when this is on a sign, you want it to be readable from far away. Making sure it's nice and centered. I'm going to test and see if maybe it'll look better in a different color than white. Try it in pink. Considering we already used pink and lessened the opacity, like a solid pink could work. So we're going to add more types. So let's add a subheading. And we're going to change the color on that maybe. Now we're going to Steve's making it white. Open sans, okay. Right party here. Can't be a vape party unless you have the words vape and party, I would imagine. And probably you would need some vape. Scale that up. It's a pretty bland font right now, so we're going to change the font. You can pull down and see the full list of fonts here. It's a little bit of a party font, but not cool enough. Let's go with a different one. See, there's so many types of cool fonts here. And these all come built into AdPro. It's a pretty cool looking script font. Caution script. All right, let's change that to yellow, because yellow really pops. And it works well with pink, so why not? So Steve's clicking on the text spacing, and he's going to change the letter spacing, which is how far apart all the letters are from one another. Because sometimes when you initially write words, it's spaced strangely. All right, so he just grabbed that little adjuster underneath it and tilted the axis, so the angle of the word is now tilted. Scaled it up a little bit, and now he's putting it above vape, so the letters overlie the bottom of the word vape. Now let's create a text effect on party. We're going to go with dark stroke, which is like a black outline. And then we're going to emboss it. So now it goes behind it, sort of like when you emboss something on paper. It creates the illusion of three-dimensionality. The illusion of three-dimensionality. All right, so that's set. Now we need some imagery. I think we've got the first part of the type done. But you can't have a vape party and just have the words vape party. You got to show some vape, I would imagine, right? All right, so he's going to the layer position, and he brought vape in front of party, duplicating it so we can use the same font and alignment as the word vape. Bring it down to the bottom. We're highlighting it. And now you can write whatever you want down here, and it'll be in the same font and color. So a good vape party has a discount on the vape, I would say. So we're going to make it 25%, and we're going to scale that down a little bit. If you right click, you get all of these little options like you just did. I'm going to try to tilt this on an angle too. So if you see under the add layers and go to the shapes, there's a whole range of shapes to select from. I think we're going to throw a shape behind this 25% to make it pop more. So we're going to throw in a border, and borders are just really cool smudgy shapes. So Steve's picking from these different borders. This border starts off as a square, but you can scale it around. Let's see what we got. You can change the color of these borders to anything you want to, I think. Let's see what else we've got here. Starburst, stars, shield shapes, promotional, people, ornate, grunge. Let's see, grunge. All right, here's some cool, very cool grunge shapes. They look like they were made with photocopiers and ink splatters. All right, so we've got a nice grungy ink splatter here. And I'm going to change the color on that and the layer options to yellow so we can match our party. You can scale this up all different ways. So it's all vector based, so I think it just distorts perfectly. And he's scaling it wider and stretching it. Looks like it's painted. All right, so he's going down to the layer panel. And there's the undo last action in case you do something you didn't want to do. It's basically your Command Z if you know Photoshop. He's taking that shape layer down and dropping it below the number 25%. So each element is on its own layer. He's going up to text effects, putting a dark stroke on that 25%. And I think he's probably gonna, let's see. He's duplicating it. and writing the word off. So if you duplicate it, it keeps the same stroke on the other word that you duplicated. And the same color and everything. So it keeps it nice and consistent. All right, so now it says 25% off. Starting to be more and more of a real vape party here. And he's twisting the entire group, the group of the two type images, changing their axis. Right. All right, so let's see. We're going back to fonts, and we're going to create a new font called Military and throw that down here. The font's actually called Black Ops 1, but it looks like a good military font. Changing the color to white, and let's change the type. Select items. You know, you don't want to say everything is 25% off, just select items. Got to be specific about that. Scale this up a little bit. Center it with everything else. Move that to a little bit more into the center as well. Get a lot of that yellow behind it so it really pops. All right, so now we got to start thinking about imagery. So going to add layers and then images. And if you search media for the word vape, a whole bunch of stock art that's part of AdPro pop up, and you have a lot of different vape bottles. So he's going to pull one of these Naked Fish vape bottles onto the canvas and scale it down. If you notice in the layer panel over on the left, it shows you, it says image, and it's visible. So you're actively affecting that image and that layer. You can tell that what layer you're affecting by where the little white check mark is active. So he's shifting the layer of the text above the layer with the image. We're going to throw another image of vape on there. This one time it's Liquid FTx. And scale that down. I think if you grab shift and when you grab a corner, while you're holding shift, it'll scale it down perfectly without distorting it. Okay, let's throw a couple more in there. Candyland, Ronin. All right, Candyland Nutterfinger. Throw that one in there. Scale that down. We're going to create the illusion that they're all actually sitting together on a plane in a three-dimensional layout. So whatever's in the foreground should be slightly larger, and then going back into space, they would get slightly smaller. So it tricks your eye into thinking they're all like sitting on a table, sort of like bowling pins lined up, going back in a force perspective. Here's another one, Ronin Bonsai. I'm going to scale that down too. 2 out of 3 are sitting above the type, and we're going to move them behind the type eventually, just by shifting the layer. All right, so he's scaling that one down pretty small. That's going to be in the far background. You want to think about like keeping the logos visible somewhat, so people know when they're thinking about it, attending this vape party, that what brands of vape are represented. We're going to move that grouped layer of 25% and off up above all these images. And we're going to locate that layer with the grunge, which is called the shape layer once it's in the layer panels. and move that one up. Oh, he moved it one too many. I'm got to move it right back down below the group layer. There you go. And maybe scale it, just stretch it a little bit. Move that down. Twist it a little bit. It's a lot of trial and error while you're designing. You'll see. It just takes a lot of practice, and it helps to see what other people have laid out to be able to get a hang of it. So shifting that last set of type, putting in a little effect on that type so it doesn't just blend in with the yellow. We're putting a dark stroke on it so it obviously breaks away from the yellow and you can read it. Thinking about changing the font on the main title of the poster here from impact to something else. Coda. See how the letter spacing is weird on that? So let's go up to the text spacing and change the letter spacing. Let's tighten it up. There we go. Pulls those letters together. It looks more like a contemporary poster. Scale it down a little bit so it lines up in our nice centered image here. It's starting to look like a really cool vape party poster. Make sure that the word party is above the bottles. We could do the bottles above the party, but we're going to go it's above the bottles. Steve cranks these things out. It's pretty amazing. And just like figuring out where exactly that grungy yellow bit will start and stop. All right. Looks pretty good. So you can see it came together pretty fast. I'm going to move that run-in back there. Just readjust all of these bottles a little bit more so the logos are a little more legible, a little more readable. Just trying not to obscure the logos. When you drop images in from, like say bottles like this, and you don't know which ones are bigger than the others or if they're exactly the same size, it's something you should think about, because you don't want something that's tiny eclipsing something that's actually in real life larger than it. Just reads weird to the eye, especially if you go into a store and see it. So that's it. That's our tutorial on designing a vape party poster. I hope you enjoyed our little time together. I'm sure we'll be doing more of these. And that's all I intended to cover today. I hope everyone learned something new on how to better use AdPro. As a reminder, these webinars are weekly events that happen every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can view all upcoming webinars by navigating to our website, goftx.com, and choosing FTx Lifeline at the top of the page. Then scroll down about halfway down the page and choose the webinar button. This will load all our previous webinars where you can watch the recordings, as well as show all the upcoming webinars with options to sign up for them. I hope everyone has a great weekend and week, and I hope you join us next week. Special thanks to Steve for helping out with the design.